Why did they look at her that way? Everywhere she walked along the sunlit parade ground, eyes followed, some curious, some sharp like knives drawn too early. Corporal Chelsea Murphy stepped off the transport bus at Camp Pendleton with one duffel bag, one hardened will, and a reputation she never asked for. The California heat pressed down, but that wasn't what made her pause. It was the whispers, the weight of expectation, the silent comparisons no one dared say aloud. That's Richard Murphy's daughter, the hero, the legend. Chelsea pulled her shoulders back. Her father once told her, "When you enter a room, act like you belong in every inch of it." But back then, his hand was still warm on her shoulder. Back then, he was still alive. She found her barracks and claimed the far corner bunk, the one with the best vantage point. Old habits. You always take the angle where nothing and no one can surprise you. She was halfway through organizing her gear when a voice scraped the air above her. "Heard you shot expert at Paris Island." Chelsea looked up. Sergeant Hamilton, built like a weight rack with a face that never learned kindness. He inspected her like she was a stain he wanted removed. "I did," she answered flatly. "That's so? Well, Daddy was supposed to be a hell of a shot too. Guess it runs in the family." The way he said Daddy felt like a hand slapping her across the face. "He died when I was 12, she replied, without giving him the satisfaction of emotion. Hamilton didn't apologize. He smirked and walked away, as if he'd taken something she wasn't allowed to defend. Chelsea inhaled, deep, controlled. Emotions were luxuries Marines weren't issued. Later, lined up for evening formation, she had met exactly two people who didn't look at her like she was either a shrine or a threat. One was Courtney, a nervous blonde from a family who believed she'd fail before she even began. She talked fast. She breathed doubt, but she smiled like hope hadn't quite given up yet. The other was Brady Walsh. Quiet, firm handshake, no nonsense. The kind of Marine who didn't need to brag, reality did it for him. "Don't let Hamilton get in your head," he murmured low. "He hates feeling outgunned, especially by someone who hasn't even been through hell yet." Chelsea didn't answer, but she logged the warning. Brady wasn't gossiping. He was giving her a blueprint. And she knew enough to keep the blueprint close. 2 dawns later, the rifle range baked under sharp sunlight. Staff Sergeant Richards ran the course, a woman with silver thread hair and eyes that could find flaws before they existed. "This isn't boot camp," Richards barked. "This is where we turn skill into lethal clarity." Chelsea settled into the firing line. She remembered her father placing a rifle in her hands when she was barely big enough to steady it. "Breathe between heartbeats," he taught. "The world moves, you are the still point." 50 rounds, multiple distances. Every shot center mass. Perfect wasn't the goal, deadly was. By the time her rifle clicked empty, she already knew the truth without checking a single target. She was still her father's daughter. When the scores posted, she was top of the day. Which made everything worse. Hamilton stared at her from across the range like she'd committed a personal crime by being better. Brady appeared at her side again. "You just made an enemy." "I just did my job." He smiled grimly. "Exactly." Then came the rope. The obstacle course was a punishing chain of lungs and determination, and it was where things began to turn dark. Chelsea was halfway up the cargo net climbing wall when the rope beneath her foot snapped, not frayed, sliced. She caught herself with a brutal grip that tore skin from palms. Below, Hamilton laughed, too loud, too proud. Brady later pulled her aside, jaw tight. "I saw Tucker with a blade near that net," he warned. "You can report it." "And say what?" she pushed back. "I think they're cutting ropes now. Please investigate my feelings." "What they're doing is sabotage." Chelsea clenched her teeth so hard they almost cracked. "They want me to look weak. They want me to run to the brass. I won't give them the satisfaction." Her father's letter echoed in her mind. Remember who you are. Remember who you fight for. Don't let them define your strength. She swallowed the rising fear like it was fuel. I'll outlast them, she vowed. They'll get tired long before I do. Brady believed her. Hamilton heard anyway, and took it as a challenge. Harassment isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a silent war. Missing gear. Short-sheeted bunk. Her name twisted into an insult during roll call. Rounds landing too close during live-fire drills. Hands in hand-to-hand combat striking with intent to injure. Each incident just small enough to deny. Each assault escalating like Hamilton's patience was burning out. Courtney whispered one night, voice trembling through the dark dorm. They're testing how much you'll take. When are you going to break? I'm not, Chelsea said, though some tiny part of her wondered who she was trying to convince. Command refused to see. Chelsea tried. Captain Fletcher listened to her detailed report with a polished smile made of dismissal. Training environments are stressful, he explained. Perhaps you're interpreting normal friction as hostility. Normal friction, like drowning in resentment, was a standard part of the program. Fletcher ended the meeting with a neat little suggestion. Focus on proving you belong. She left the office feeling smaller, colder, angry enough to shake. Brady found her alone at a table afterward, sliding a cup of coffee in front of her without asking. Authority won't save you, he said. You save yourself. Chelsea stared ahead at the empty chair across the room, Hamilton's usually seat, untouched tonight. I will. But something deep inside her whispered a warning. They're not done. They're only beginning. And the next test would not be sabotage. It would be survival. Why did the water feel different today? The combat pool stretched out like a dark mirror beneath a cloud-choked sky, cold, silent, waiting. Chelsea stood among the recruits, full uniform on, heavy boots laced tight, weighted pack secured. She should have been focused, should have been calm. But something in her bones whispered danger. Hamilton was 3 bodies away, his stare a knife carving into her ribs. Tucker hovered near her shoulder, too close. Bishop lingered by the equipment, watching, waiting. One wrong breath and the day would bleed. Petty Officer Barnes blew his whistle. First group in the water. Chelsea jumped with practiced precision. The cold hit like a punch. The weight on her back dragged her under faster than ever before, unnaturally fast. The pack was heavier, much heavier. Sabotage disguised as training gear. Her lungs strained as she kicked upward, bursting into air with a gasp she hadn't planned on. They want you to panic. Don't give them what they want. She started the swim. Her muscles burned earlier than usual. Around her, other recruits struggled but stayed afloat. She pushed through pain, through cold, through the instinct to look over her shoulder. Because panic is the first step toward drowning. She hit the far wall, fingers gripping concrete, breathing hard. Barnes didn't even glance up. Adequate performance, Murphy. Adequate. The word tasted like rust. Next, partner rescue drills. Barnes called it like a death sentence. Graham, you're with Murphy. Every alarm in her nervous system screamed. Tucker smiled, a sweet, poisonous thing. Ready for me to save your life, he taunted. She ignored him and nodded curtly. Stay calm, stay in control. Tucker went first as the victim. She executed a clean rescue, flawless technique. Barnes marked the clipboard without acknowledgement. Then her turn. She let herself float, arms loose, playing the role of the struggling Marine. Tucker approached properly. Until he didn't. His arm slid low, grip vice tight, and then he pulled down. A surge of water slammed into Chelsea's face. Instinct screamed for air she wasn't allowed. Cold crushed her chest as Tucker held her there, deeper, deeper. Chelsea fought, twisting hard, elbowing his ribs. He grunted but didn't release. The world blurred into swirling shadows and burning lungs. Fingernails clawed at nothing as panic bubbled through her bloodstream like poison. Think. Technique over fear. She went limp, dead weight, a tactic to buy a second of loosened grip. He shifted, surprised. She struck, knee driving into his abdomen. Tucker curled, released. Chelsea launched upward with one desperate kick. Air. Painful, beautiful air. Barnes shouted something, questions or commands she didn't hear. The roaring inside her head drowned everything out. She just needed a breath. But then Hamilton grabbed her. Powerful hands shoved her downward, boots scraping sidewalls, sending ripples scattering like alarm bells across the pool's surface. He yelled, loud enough for everyone to hear. She's panicking. Help me get her under control. Lies disguised as leadership. Chelsea thrashed, kicks frantic now, lungs clawing for air that wasn't there. Another pair of arms closed in. Bishop. 3 against 1. This wasn't hazing anymore. This was execution. Her chest convulsed, instinct overriding training, water forcing its way in. She thought of her father, steady, brave, unbreakable. Was this how he died? Was this how legacy ended? All at once, voices broke through the water, sharp, commanding. Release that Marine, now. Hamilton's hands vanished. The arms dragging her down let go. Her head burst above the surface and she coughed hard, choking on life. The entire pool froze like a photograph. All eyes turned to the source of the order. High above the chaos, in an observation tower, a man lowered his binoculars. A man in command. A man who mattered. Lieutenant General Franklin Ross. And he was already marching down. Hamilton's face drained of blood. Tucker stared like he'd seen a ghost rise out of the water instead of a Marine he tried to kill. Bishop turned and made a futile attempt to swim away. MPs appeared before Chelsea had enough breath to understand. They yanked the 3 attackers from the pool like trash being removed from a clean floor. Chelsea forced herself to stand, but her legs betrayed her. Brady was suddenly beside her, arm steady, voice soft. I've got you. Her throat ached. Her ribs throbbed with bruises from drowning hands. Every muscle trembled with adrenaline collapse. But she stood anyway. Because she would never let them see her fall. General Ross scanned the scene, eyes sharp, already forming judgments that carried the weight of careers. He stopped in front of her. You injured, Corporal? No, sir, I'm F. Her voice cracked. She swallowed the lie. I'll manage. You won't manage. You'll receive medical attention immediately. That's an order. He turned, issuing rapid commands. Secure those 3 Marines. Full investigation, no delays. The words dropped like final verdicts. Justice had shown up wearing stars. Chelsea wanted to collapse, wanted to disappear beneath blankets and silence. Instead, she kept breathing, one painful inhale at a time. You survived. That's step 1. Brady guided her toward awaiting medics, Chelsea shaking now with the full weight of nearly dying. Ross looked after her, jaw set in iron. He knew her name. He knew her father's sacrifice. He knew what almost happened here. He would not allow the Marine Corps to bury this. Not this Marine. Not Richard Murphy's daughter. The ambulance doors closed and darkness wrapped around her. Cold metal walls hummed beneath her fingers as she fought the urge to collapse. Brady squeezed her hand once, grounding her, just before he stepped back from the vehicle. You're safe, he said. But safety felt fragile, temporary, conditional. Chelsea stared at the pool receding through the back window, a blue rectangle under gray sky. Water was supposed to test them. Not kill them. And yet it almost did. She lay back, lungs aching, mind racing with what could have happened. If the general hadn't been watching. If no one believed her. If silence won. Her eyes closed. A single thought pulsed between fatting heartbeats. They crossed the line. And now they would pay for it. How many times would she have to retell the moment she almost died? Chelsea sat under harsh medical lights while Dr. Howard shined a penlight into eyes that still burned from chlorine and panic. Bruises surfaced like dark confessions across her skin. Every breath tasted like metal. Nurse Stone helped her remove her soaked uniform, gently, respectfully, as if minimizing the humiliation mattered. Deep bruising along the ribs, shoulder contusions, early signs of hypoxia, Howard muttered, documenting with clinical precision. Not training injuries. Not misunderstandings. Evidence of attempted murder. Don't downplay this, Howard warned quietly. 3 men attacked you. Chelsea stared blankly at the linoleum floor. If I admit how close I came, then they win. Howard paused, really seeing her. You fought until someone saw. That's survival, not defeat. Chelsea wanted to believe it. But she still tasted, drowning at the back of her tongue. The door opened. Staff Sergeant Richards entered, uniform impeccable, expression carved from steel. I need your official statement, she said, sitting and placing a recorder on the table. Tell it exactly as it happened. So Chelsea told it. The heavy pack, the grip dragging her under, the moment Hamilton arrived smiling for witnesses while trying to kill her for real. By the time she finished, her voice was raw. Richard stopped the recorder, then leaned forward, voice low, heavy with guilt. I should have stopped it sooner. I reported concerns to Fletcher twice. He dismissed it, told me you needed to toughen up. Chelsea looked up, tired eyes meeting tired eyes. You did what you could within the system. Richards shook her head. The system failed you. For the first time since she arrived at Camp Pendleton, someone said it plainly. And didn't pretend she was overreacting. Hours blurred into hospital bed sheets and fragmented memory. Sleep didn't come easy. Every time she drifted off, she was underwater again, lungs screaming, hands pushing her down. She jolted awake to a softer presence. Lieutenant General Ross sat in the chair beside her bed, posture straight, hands folded, gaze steady. No aide, no guards, just him. Sir, she whispered, confused by his presence. I wanted to see how you were, Ross replied, and to talk to you about your father. Her heart stopped, just for a beat. Ross continued, calm but haunted. He saved my life in Fallujah, twice. The second time it cost him his own. Ever since, I made sure I kept track of you, quietly, not interfering, just watching, proud of his legacy continuing. Chelsea's throat tightened painfully. My father never talked about Fallujah, she managed. I didn't know he. Heroes rarely speak of their heroism, Ross said gently. They leave the stories to those who survived. Silence filled the room, not awkward but reverent. You don't owe me anything because of who your father was, he told her. But I owe him everything, and that includes making sure justice is done here. She swallowed hard. Not weakness, emotion. Not fear, relief. What happens now? A formal inquiry, court proceedings, removal of those who permitted this environment to exist. He paused. And you will not return to Captain Fletcher's command. You'll transfer to a place where you can become the Marine you trained to be without enemies waiting in the shadows. Chelsea blinked, disoriented by the sudden certainty of his protection. Sir, I don't want special treatment. You won't get it, you'll earn everything, but you won't face it alone. That mattered more than she expected. Ross stood. Rest, heal. Tomorrow we fight the real battle, not in water but in truth. His voice softened, almost imperceptibly. You survived today because you deserve to. And then he left, leaving the door cracked open, as if she needed the reassurance of escape. Chelsea laid back, staring up at the ceiling, feeling something fragile forming in her chest. Hoping. The next morning, the machine of military justice awakened, loud, rapid, unstoppable. JAG officers arrived. Security footage was pulled, medical records collected, witness lists organized. Chelsea watched from a quiet corner of the infirmary, still hurting, still shaking, but observing with a soldier's eyes. Hamilton was escorted by MPs and restraints, screaming through red-faced fury. She panicked. I was trying to help her. She dragged us down. Convenient lies, stupid ones. Tucker followed, silent and hollow. Bishop, expression calcified into denial. Barnes, pale and sweating, explained to investigators how he must have missed the signs, the guilt cracking his voice. And Fletcher. He avoided looking in Chelsea's direction entirely, too busy building excuses out of arrogance he no longer possessed. Brady approached her during the chaos, hands in pockets, voice low. If Ross hadn't shown up. He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. Chelsea nodded, because that truth lived under her skin now. Thank you, she whispered, meaning more than those two words could carry. Brady gave her that half-smile she was starting to trust. Any time. Chelsea returned to her barracks only once, escorted, to pack what little she owned. Courtney hugged her fast and tight. I knew you weren't crazy, she whispered, voice shaky. Chelsea smiled weakly. You're stronger than they think. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Courtney nodded, straightening with new steel in her spine. Semper Fi, she breathed. Always faithful. Chelsea walked away, bags heavy, heart heavier. She didn't look back. Later that night, alone in the hospital's quiet hours, she opened the shoebox that held her father's letters, hands trembling, breath uneven. One line stood out like it had been written for this exact moment. The true measure of a Marine isn't how she fights when watched, but how she endures when abandoned. Chelsea closed her eyes. She hadn't quit. She hadn't broken. She hadn't drowned. She had endured, even when the system turned its back. Tomorrow she would stand under oath and speak the truth, not just for herself, but for every Marine who would come after her. Because someone had to draw a line that would not be crossed again. And she was done being silent. What would the truth sound like when spoken aloud, in a room full of people who once doubted it? Chelsea sat in the hearing chamber, spine straight despite aching ribs. Her uniform was crisp, her hands steady, but her pulse betrayed her, a rapid beat against the scarred skin beneath. General Ross stood at the front, a silent bulwark behind justice. Staff Sergeant Richards took a supportive seat nearby, jaw locked, eyes sharp. Brady waited in the back row where she could see him if she needed strength. Captain Fletcher, Hamilton, Tucker, and Bishop sat across from her, not as Marines but as defendants, stripped of arrogance, stripped of certainty, and soon stripped of rank. A recorder buzzed to life. Corporal Chelsea Murphy, the presiding judge advocate, began, described the nature of the events on the date in question. She inhaled slow, intentional. And then she told the story again. Not like a victim, like a witness to something unforgivable. She explained the sinking weight, the grip, the force dragging her under, the panic she battled tooth and bone, the deliberate intent she felt in every second of struggle, the lies Hamilton shouted to mask the truth as he tried to kill her. Her voice never cracked. The strength in her tone surprised even her. Mid-statement, Bishop slammed his fist onto the table, trembling, desperate. This is insane, he barked. We were training, she freaked out. Chelsea stopped speaking. She turned her head slow and cold and looked him straight in the eyes. Then why did you smile when I stopped breathing? His mouth remained open. No sound came out. Truth had teeth. The judge advocate continued. Hamilton leaned forward, snarling. She thinks she's special. She thinks she's better than. Ross didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. You will contain yourself, Staff Sergeant. Hamilton froze. Ross could command silence without volume. Tucker simply stared at the table, shoulders curved inward, guilt a weight he finally felt. Fletcher tried to salvage his dignity. Corporal Murphy has a history of conflict with fellow Marines. She exaggerates minor issues. General Ross, the judge advocate interrupted, your direct observations. Ross rose, and his words came like steady artillery. I personally witnessed 3 Marines restraining and submerging Corporal Murphy while she struggled for air. There was no ambiguity, no misunderstanding. It was violence disguised as discipline. Silence swallowed the room. He added, eyes locked on Fletcher. And command ignored warning signs that could have prevented it. Fletcher's face drained white. For a moment, Chelsea felt justice breathing beside her, alive, present, undeniable. Court adjourned for deliberation. As Chelsea stepped outside into a cool breeze, sunlight warming her bruised skin, Brady joined her, quiet, observant. You spoke like you were born to, he said softly. I was terrified. That's how I knew it was real. Her breath steadied. Before Brady could say more, Ross approached, posture unreadable. Walk with me, he instructed. Chelsea followed him down the corridor to a private atrium filled with photographs of Marines who'd fallen in service. Her father's image wasn't there. His sacrifice had been on foreign soil, unphotographed, known only by those who lived because he died. Ross stopped beside a picture of a young Marine she didn't know. A scar bisected his smile. I lost good Marines to cowardly actions, Ross said. Bullies hiding behind rank, leaders hiding behind procedure. He turned to her. Today we dismantled that. Chelsea studied him, the weight he carried. It wasn't just her case. It was every forgotten voice before hers. Sir, she hesitated. The words felt fragile. Thank you for seeing me. I saw a Marine, he corrected. That's all you ever needed to be. Something in her chest loosened, a knot untied, air flowed easier. Ross cleared his throat, emotion briefly flickering before disappearing behind command. There is a training assignment available at Marine Corps Air Station Miramar, he said. Preferred candidates are few. I recommended you. Chelsea blinked, stunned. I thought after the investigation, after all this. You think survival should be punished, he shook his head. No, survival is proof. It sounds like a fresh start, she whispered. It sounds like a challenge, he countered, one you're ready for. Chelsea nodded slowly. She was. The verdict arrived by late afternoon. Hamilton, dishonorably discharged and charged with aggravated assault. Tucker, court-martialed, stripped of rank, confinement recommended. Bishop, complicit misconduct, discharged under bad conditions. Captain Fletcher, removed from command, facing disciplinary action for negligence. Justice wasn't perfect, but it was enough. And Chelsea hadn't needed to drown to earn it. As she packed for Miramar, Courtney rushed in, breathless, emotional. You're leaving. Chelsea paused mid-fold. I have to. Courtney hugged her, fierce, messy, real. You're the bravest Marine I've ever met. Chelsea swallowed the shock of hearing that aloud. Brady appeared at the doorway, hands tucked into his sleeves. I requested transfer approval, he said casually. Miramar needs instructors. Chelsea blinked, then narrowed her eyes. You requested it because you think I need protection. Brady raised both brows. I requested it because you're one of the few Marines worth standing beside. She stared at him, heartbeat loud. So that's a yes, he teased. Maybe, she said, letting the smallest smile escape. Night settled quietly over Camp Pendleton. Chelsea stepped outside one last time, letting the wind brush through her hair. She remembered arriving, carrying expectation like a shield. She remembered almost never leaving. She remembered water turning to grave. But she also remembered surviving. Richards joined her outside, a salute offered not out of protocol but respect. "You remind me why I stay," the staff sergeant said. Chelsea saluted back. "Semper Fi." "Always faithful," Richards echoed and walked away before either could say too much. Chelsea looked up at the stars, each one a reminder of those who never came home. Her father among them. She whispered into the night, "I'm still here, Papa." And maybe somewhere he heard. She turned toward the barracks, toward tomorrow, toward the Marine she was becoming. But something lingered, a quiet question. Now that she had survived, what mission would define her? Because justice wasn't the end. It was the beginning. Why did Miramar feel like opportunity and warning wrapped into one? The transport plane touched down under a golden San Diego sunset, runway lights blinking like distant stars guiding her home. Chelsea stepped onto the tarmac, breathing in air that tasted different, ocean-salted, wide open, full of possibility. But possibility always came with a price. MCAS Miramar buzzed with life, aircraft engines roaring like restless beasts, pilots jogging under orange floodlights, instructors shouting checklists louder than the wind. Chelsea tightened the strap of her duffel and walked with quiet determination. Every step said something she couldn't. "I belong here. I earned this. I survived." Brady walked beside her, duffel slung over his shoulder. "No sabotage, no drownings," he said lightly. "General Ross made sure your name here means one thing: respect." "Respect evaporates fast if you don't prove yourself," she replied. Brady chuckled. "Good thing you're excellent at that." The admin building doors opened, and a woman with sharp eyes and sharper presence approached. Major Elena Vargas. Flight training officer. Reputation: brilliant, brutal, and allergic to excuses. She studied Chelsea like she was scanning a blueprint. "So you're Murphy," Vargas said. "Yes, ma'am. Heard you refused to drown when others tried to help you with that." Chelsea blinked, unsure if it was a joke. Vargas smirked. "Relax. Miramar doesn't tolerate fools, and it doesn't tolerate fear, but fear is acceptable if you learn to weaponize it." Chelsea nodded slowly. "Tomorrow at 500 evaluations. You'll be tested as though none of your past exists. Don't bring ghosts into my program. They distract you from the living." Then Vargas walked away. No comforting introductions, no welcome package. Just expectation. Brady whistled under his breath. "She's fun." Chelsea allowed a faint smirk. "She's challenge." And somewhere inside, that felt good. The barracks were quiet that night. Chelsea's new bunk beneath soft lamplight, walls plastered with flight wing posters. She ran a hand across the crisp sheets. No traps, no tension in the air, no eyes waiting for mistakes. Still, she slept lightly, trained by trauma to expect shadows. At 4:30 her alarm buzzed. She was already awake. The mirror revealed fatting purple bruises along her ribs, scars of a battle she won, proof that strength sometimes looks like survival. "You're still here. Now prove why." She grabbed her pack and stepped into morning darkness. The training grounds were a different beast. Obstacle courses weren't tests of cruelty, they were tests of readiness. Every drill crafted to turn fear into instinct. Chelsea moved with speed and efficiency, hands sure, timing sharp. Her lungs burned but not with panic, just effort. Sweat poured but not fear. She wasn't trying to stay alive anymore. She was pushing to become lethal. Brady nodded from nearby stations, his silent approval unspoken encouragement. Then came marksmanship evaluations. Chelsea picked up the rifle like greeting an old friend, calm, steady, wise. Targets fell one after another, rapid, clean, unforgiving precision. Her father's silent lessons lived in each pull of the trigger. Breathe between heartbeats. The world moves, you are the still point. When she finished, the instructor stared at her target sheet, a perfect pattern. With mild awe, he said, "You planning to apply for Scout Sniper qualification?" Chelsea paused, something shifting inside her. I was, but maybe I should. Maybe survival had revealed purpose. Vargas approached, hands behind her back. You shoot like someone who's been trained by ghosts, she said quietly. Chelsea's breath caught. I shoot like a Marine. That too, Vargas replied, eyes narrowing thoughtfully. We have a recon team in need of precision shooters, real-world situations, not training exercises, high risk, higher stakes. She leaned closer. I'm watching you, Murphy. You might be exactly what they need. A mission. Responsibility. Meaning. Chelsea's heart beat harder, but with desire, not dread. She saluted, then moved to the next station, confidence whispering. You're not here to heal, you're here to rise. Later in the mess hall, Brady sat across from her, spooning scrambled eggs as if hunger outranked conversation. So recon team, he said casually. You heard. I have ears. And opinions, I'm sure. Always, he leaned in slightly, it's dangerous. So was drowning. He smirked fair. Their eyes held a moment too long, warm, grounding, until a loud voice interrupted. Murphy. A younger Marine stood awkwardly near their table, cheeks flushed. I just wanted to say, what happened at Pendleton, you didn't deserve that, and you being here means something to a lot of us. Chelsea looked up surprised. Thank you, she answered sincerely. He nodded, grateful, and hurried off. Brady raised a brow. See respect. Chelsea exhaled slowly, almost smiling. Feels strange. It'll feel normal soon. Chelsea wasn't sure, but she hoped. That evening, after lights out, she sat on her bunk holding one of her father's letters again. The page was worn, edges soft from rereading. Pain doesn't define you, Chels. How you rise from it does. Her throat tightened. She whispered into the shadows. I'm rising. Suddenly, footsteps echoed outside, hurried, urgent. Then a knock at her door. Murphy, Vargas called. Get dressed now. Chelsea snapped into motion, boots laced in seconds, heart kicking into alert. Brady appeared from the hallway, equally confused and already geared up. What's going on? Chelsea asked. Vargas's eyes were hard, no room for interpretation. A situation, real-world deployment. We need a sniper with your precision. You're up. Chelsea froze, adrenaline crashing through her veins. Do I even have clearance yet? Ross expedited it, Vargas replied. He believes in you, don't make him regret it. Chelsea felt her pulse roaring. No more training. No more surviving. Now purpose. Brady adjusted his vest beside her. You ready? He asked. She stared back, resolve hardening like armor. I didn't come here to hide. Vargas nodded. Good, wheels up in 10. Chelsea followed them into the night, into a mission that would test everything she'd reclaimed. As the hangar doors opened and the aircraft roared awake, her father's words echoed inside her. The measure of a Marine isn't in the battles she chooses. It's in the battles that choose her. Chelsea stepped forward. Chosen. Why did the night feel different when danger wasn't a possibility, but a guarantee? Chelsea sat strapped into the transport aircraft, the hum of engines vibrating through the metal hull and into her bones. She checked her rifle 3 times, then a 4th, not out of doubt, but ritual. The sight locked clean, bolt sliding smooth, suppressor tight. Brady sat across from her, helmet in his lap, observing her like one reads a map they trust to guide them home. "You don't look nervous," he said over the drone of turbines. I'm just better at hiding it now." Brady smiled. "Good." Major Vargas approached, handing each Marine a tablet with aerial imagery. "Objective is an abandoned compound near the border. Intelligence suggests an arms transfer, but the real concern is the missing Marine believed to be held there, Sergeant Maya Torres. She vanished 9 days ago during reconnaissance. We're bringing her home." A quiet dread tightened inside Chelsea. A Marine left behind was more than a mission. It was a violation of every promise they swore to uphold. "Murphy, you're Overwatch 1, Vargas instructed. "High position, eyes everywhere. Make sure nothing moves without you deciding whether it lives." The weight of responsibility settled like cold steel across her shoulders. Brady bumped her knee with his. "You're breathing okay?" he asked gently. She nodded. "Better than last time I jumped into danger." He held her gaze for a brief moment, admiration without pity. "You're ready," he said. She believed him. For the first time, she truly believed him. The aircraft cut through the night sky until mountains rose like jagged shadows below. The team fast-roped into rough terrain, brush-scraping gear, silence enforced by necessity. Chelsea moved with fluid caution, guided by moonlight glinting off rifle metal. Every sensory detail sharpened: the cold bite of wind, the dry earth beneath boots, distant rustle not from nature but men guarding something wrong. Vargas signaled. Chelsea broke off, climbing the ridge to provide overwatch. She found high ground, prone position, rifle stabilized against stone. Through her scope, the world transformed into sharp clarity. The compound below. 2 vehicles. 4 guards visible. 1 reinforced entrance. Windows barred. Lights faint, running on generator power. Chelsea whispered into comms. "Eyes on target, 4 hostiles outside, unknown inside." "Copy that," Vargas replied. "We move on your mark." Chelsea exhaled slow. "Breathe between heartbeats." Her father's voice guiding each adjustment of the scope. 1 guard moved closest, cigarette ember glowing. "Bad habit. Fatal vulnerability." Chelsea squeezed the trigger. Silenced. Precise. The man collapsed quietly into dirt. Her pulse remained still. "1 down," she whispered. 2 guards leaned close, confused by the sudden absence. "Mistake." 2 aligned heads. 1 shot. A whisper of metal. 2 bodies fell together. Brady's voice crackled softly through comms. "Nice." Chelsea swallowed emotion, duty over pride. The 4th guard reached for his radio. "He didn't finish." "Exterior clear," she confirmed. "Move." The team advanced, silent shadows in uniform. Brady breached with controlled force. Vargas followed with tactical clarity. Chelsea kept eyes sweeping, seeing everything, missing nothing. Inside, something shifted, something wrong. Brady's voice in her ear. "Murphy, we found her." A pause. Too long. Then alive, barely. Her lungs tightened. Torres was carried out of the building, limp, bruised, eyes flickering like someone fighting to stay tethered to life. Chelsea adjusted the scope, ensuring no unseen threat lingered. But the dread didn't leave her. "Murphy," Torres croaked through cracked lips. "They weren't working alone." Her voice failed, panic in the fragments. Vargas knelt beside her. "Who? Talk to me." Torres grabbed the major's vest with trembling fingers. They said a name, someone sending a message. Chelsea's entire focus sharpened when Torres whispered what little remained of her voice. "Murphy." Chelsea froze. No air. No thoughts. Just shock. Brady's head snapped toward her, realization dawning. Torres gasped again. "He's coming for you." Chelsea's blood ran cold. Before Vargas could stabilize Torres, a distant thud shook the ground. Then another. And then the generator inside the compound exploded into flames. Light flashed bright and violent, illuminating more silhouettes emerging from the dark tree line. Chelsea pivoted the scope. 12 hostiles incoming from the north, possible reinforcements. They were waiting on us. Vargas cursed under her breath. Extraction point compromised, Brady added. Chelsea kept firing, eliminating targets before they reached cover. Brady, take Torres and fall back south, Vargas commanded. Murphy, stay and suppress. Chelsea gritted her teeth, focusing her breathing through panic's tremor. Not drowning. Not trapped. Not dying. The enemy spread, harder to control, as visibility fractured into smoke and fire. 2 approaching east side, closing fast, Chelsea warned. Shots cracked back, not suppressed but loud and wild. Dirt exploded inches from her cheek. She shifted position fast, rolling into a secondary perch, breath ragged with adrenaline. Through the scope she saw one of them masked, efficient, skilled. Not militia. Not amateur. He looked up directly at her. Like he knew who she was. Like he came for her and no one else. Their eyes locked through glass and darkness. He tapped his chest once, a clear signal. I see you, Murphy. I'm coming. Chelsea's fingers clenched around the rifle. Who the hell are you? She whispered. No answer given, but his smile behind the mask said everything. He was the warning Torres tried to give. Chelsea fired, but he disappeared into the trees like a ghost, evaporating into night. Brady's voice pulled her back. We're at fallback position. Where are you? Chelsea backed away from the ridge, shots chasing her heels. On my way. She sprinted down the hill, legs burning, lungs tearing cold air. Shadowy figures flanked from both sides, too coordinated to be coincidence. Brady appeared ahead, covering fire, lighting the darkness. Come on, he shouted. Chelsea slid behind a boulder as Vargas radioed extraction again, urgency turning into desperation. We have 1 minute before we're surrounded. Chelsea caught Brady's gaze, fear and determination colliding in both their eyes. This wasn't just a rescue mission. Someone engineered it. Someone with her name in his orders. A voice echoed through the chaos, distorted through a megaphone. Corporal Chelsea Murphy, I want you. Brady grabbed her arm, voice a razor's edge. Not today. Chelsea gritted her teeth, rage igniting through every bruise that ever marked her skin. She raised her rifle steady, unbroken. We fight, she said. Vargas ordered one last suppression volley, and they fell back into darkness as the rescue helicopter roared toward them. Chelsea wasn't running. She was regrouping. Because now she had a new mission. Find the man behind the mask. Find the reason he knew her name. And make sure he never spoke it again. Why did survival feel heavier after the fight was over? The helicopter blades beat violently against the air as they lifted away from the ambush zone. Chelsea kept her rifle aimed outward until the enemy silhouettes blurred into distance and dust. Only then did her body start to shake, adrenaline draining like sand through cracked fingers. Torres lay strapped to a stretcher, oxygen mask over her bruised face. Brady knelt beside her, checking vitals with steady hands and eyes filled with fear he refused to voice. Chelsea shifted closer, gripping a handrail to keep herself grounded. Torres' eyes flickered open, barely visible under swollen lids. She focused on Chelsea. You survived, she whispered. Chelsea swallowed hard. You did too. Torres shook her head, weak tears streaking through blood and dirt. He wanted you, she rasped. He said your father wasn't finished. Chelsea's breath turned to ice. Brady's head snapped up, confusion turning into dread. What does that mean? He asked. Torres tried to speak again, but unconsciousness claimed her like a wave crashing over hope. Vargas leaned in, voice clipped. We can't push her, not until she's stable. Chelsea nodded, but unanswered questions began cutting into her like shrapnel. Her father's death was supposed to be a story of sacrifice, a hero protecting his men, a clean ending to a brave life. So why was a masked man stalking her name through battlefields? The helicopter began its descent toward Miramar home, yet no longer safe. Hours later, Chelsea sat in the medical wing hallway, shoulders slumped, fingers trembling against a paper cup of untouched water. Brady placed a hand gently over hers. You did everything right, he told her. Chelsea shook her head slowly. It doesn't feel like enough. Brady leaned back, studying her like he was memorizing every fracture she tried to hide. You didn't freeze, you didn't drown, you fought. That's what Marines do. Chelsea looked down at her bruised knuckles. What if he comes here? She whispered. Brady answered without hesitation. I'll be here. Something warm and dangerous flickered between them, connection forged in threat rather than comfort. Before she could reply, Vargas approached, a tablet already displaying the intel pulled from the compound. You need to see this. They followed her into a briefing room where General Ross appeared on screen, secure call, his expression carved from steel and worry. Corporal Murphy, Ross began, the hostile you engaged tonight is linked to a private mercenary group operating globally, highly trained, well-funded. Photos appeared, grainy surveillance images of masked operators, one circled with red. The same build, the same posture, the same eyes that stared at her through the scope. He's part of a splinter cell formed from former U.S. Special Forces gone rogue, Ross continued. Their leader calls himself Viper. Chelsea listened, heartbeat loud. Ross inhaled through his nose, preparing to deliver something heavier. We have reason to believe Viper was operating in Fallujah during your father's final mission. Chelsea's pulse stopped. Brady stepped closer, like instinct told him she'd need support. Ross continued. There are classified reports suggesting your father may have uncovered corruption tied to these men. We thought those threats died with him. Clearly, we were wrong. Chelsea's throat closed around memories she hadn't let herself feel in years. Her father's folded flag, her mother's silent breakdown, her own refusal to cry. Strength born of grief. He died protecting you, Ross said softly, and now it seems someone wants the debt repaid in blood. Chelsea's hands curled into fists. So this isn't random. No, Ross confirmed. This is personal. You are the target because of who you are and who he was. Chelsea struggled for air, but not like drowning. Not fear. Rage. Raw and righteous. Brady stepped forward. How do we fight someone like that? We hunt them, Vargas answered, tapping the screen. We gather everything your father knew. We finish his work. Ross nodded once. Murphy, you have a choice, he said. You can step back, focus on training, we'll assign someone else to the pursuit. Chelsea lifted her head, eyes burning but unbroken. No. Ross didn't smile, but respect flickered in his gaze. I figured you'd say that, he said. We'll be in contact soon, be cautious, trust only those who earned it. The screen went black, leaving her own reflection staring back. Hair messy, eyes fierce. A warrior emerging from the ashes of her fear. Later that night, Chelsea stood alone outside the barracks, wind brushing her face like a warning. She replayed Tor's words. He's coming for you. Your father wasn't finished. The weight of legacy pressed against her ribs, not suffocating her like the pool, not sinking her like sabotage. Driving her. Forging her. Brady stepped outside, hands shoved into his pockets. I'm not going to pretend I know what you're feeling, he said softly. But if you think I'm letting you fight ghosts alone, you don't know me. Chelsea exhaled, shaky but grateful. Brady, you don't have to. I do, he interrupted firmly. Because I care. And because if some masked psychopath thinks he can touch you, he'll have to go through all of us first. Chelsea looked into his eyes, seeing not pity or heroism, but partnership. You're a good Marine, she whispered. He smiled small, real. So are you. She stared out toward the horizon, darkness stretching farther than she could see. Do you think he watched us leave? She asked. Brady nodded once. He's watching now. Chelsea didn't flinch. Didn't hide. She squared her shoulders, speaking not to Brady but to the night itself. Then he knows this, I'm not my father's shadow. I'll finish what he couldn't. Brady's hand brushed hers, not grabbing, just grounding. You already survived the worst, he said quietly. The rest you'll destroy. Chelsea held the gaze of the unseen enemy, listening from the void. She wasn't drowning anymore. She was learning how to breathe underwater and strike back from the depths. He wanted her scared. She was sharpening instead. How long can a threat stalk you before you turn and confront it head-on? Chelsea slept in fragments, a mind trained to stay alert once the world proved it could turn on her in silence. Every creak of the barracks, every shadow shifting under the moonlight, every whisper of wind against the window, she felt them. She analyzed them. She prepared for them. Because fear didn't own her anymore, but she respected what it warned. Morning arrived too quickly. She found herself summoned not to the range or briefing room, but the base archives. A long hallway of forgotten missions, sealed reports and heroes whose stories had been turned into footnotes. Ross was waiting. He greeted her without formality. Your father's files, he said, handing her a secured folder, unredacted. Chelsea's pulse steadied as fingers traced the name on the cover. Master Sergeant Richard Murphy, Fallujah, classified mission. She opened it. Photos, reports, satellite imagery, and a list mercenary names crossed out one by one. Except one. A code name circled in ink from her father's own hand. Viper. Ross watched the realization cut through her. He tried to protect you, Ross said, but he also trusted that one day you finish what he started. Chelsea exhaled slow, heavy. He shouldn't have had to die for this. Ross nodded. No one should, that's why you'll end it. Before she could respond, an alarm shattered the moment. Red triangle pointed up security alert. Red triangle pointed up unauthorized perimeter breach. Red triangle pointed up sniper threat detected. Chelsea and Ross locked eyes, understanding instantaneous. He's here, she breathed. Ross grabbed the radio, locked down the base, find HIM. But Chelsea was already moving. Because she knew where he'd be. He wanted her. To face her. To prove she wasn't worthy of the legacy she carried. She sprinted through the base, boots pounding asphalt, heart pounding truth. Brady intercepted her at the airfield, rifle at the ready, fear hidden under urgency. You're not confronting him alone, he insisted. Chelsea didn't argue. The flight lane stretched wide before them, open ground, nowhere to hide except the control tower. High vantage, perfect for a sniper. Chelsea and Brady moved in tandem, clearing corners, ascending stairs two at a time. Every step closer made her chest tighten. He knows I'm coming. He wants this. At the top, the door hung slightly ajar, wind rattling against metal. Chelsea motioned. Brady nodded. They entered silent, controlled. Nothing. Empty. Until a voice slid through the air like a blade. You move like him. Chelsea spun. The masked man, Viper, emerged from behind a server rack, rifle lowered, posture calm. dangerous calm. His eyes pinned her like prey he wasn't done toying with. Brady raised his weapon instantly. "Drop it," he commanded. Viper ignored him, gaze locked entirely on Chelsea. "You think wearing his name makes you his equal," the mercenary taunted. "He hunted us, he destroyed us, and when we finally had him, he begged us to leave you out of it." Chelsea's jaw clenched. "My father never begged." "Oh, he begged," Viper hissed, stepping closer, "right before he died." Rage threatened to explode inside her, the boiling kind that drowned judgment and made people stupid. Brady sensed the shift. "Chelsea," he warned softly, "don't let him." Too late. Chelsea fired one clean shot, ripping Viper's rifle from his hands. Metal clanged across concrete. Viper smiled under his mask. "There she is," he purred, "the daughter who doesn't know when she's already lost." He lunged. Brady tackled him, bodies slamming hard into metal crates. A struggle erupted, fists cracking, boots scraping. Chelsea tried to line up a shot, but the movement was too chaotic. Brady's grunt of pain snapped her attention. Viper slammed an elbow into his ribs, sending him crashing to the floor. Chelsea charged, dropping her rifle as she collided with Viper, both skidding across the ground. He swung a vicious strike, but she blocked it, countering with a knee to his sternum. "You don't get to talk about him," she spat. He laughed wild, thrilled by the challenge. "You inherited his fire," he growled. "Let's see if you have his strength." They fought brutal, close quarters, nothing pretty. Every hit fueled by memory. Every dodge fueled by survival. Every breath fueled by the promise she made at a graveside she was too young to understand. "I won't let you be forgotten." Viper grabbed a fallen knife, steel flashing toward her ribs. Chelsea caught his wrist, sheer while slowing the blade millimeters from skin, but his strength pushed closer. Brady, battered but conscious, slid her rifle toward her with his boot. "Take it," he gasped. Chelsea released one hand, letting the blade slice a shallow line across her side, but pain became power. She lifted the rifle, muzzle pressing under Viper's jaw. His eyes widened only slightly. "You won't pull the trigger this close," he whispered, testing her. Chelsea's voice was ice. "You drowned me, you hunted me, you lied about my father, and you think fear controls me." He didn't blink. "You are not him." She steadied her aim. "No," she agreed. "I'm the consequence." One shot. Viper's body fell limp, mask hitting concrete. Chelsea didn't look away. Not from death. Not from what she was capable of. Brady crawled closer, wincing, reaching for her shoulder. "You okay?" he managed. Chelsea exhaled, shaking with adrenaline, with anger, with relief. "He's gone," she said. "It's over." In the distance, Ross and Vargas stormed up the tower stairs, too late to save her. Because she saved herself. She knelt, pulling the mask off Viper's face. A stranger, a monster given human skin, nothing more. Brady's hand squeezed hers. "You didn't do this because of revenge," he said gently. "You did it because no Marine gets left behind to fight alone." Chelsea looked out over Miramar, sun breaking through morning cloud cover, golden light cutting away the shadows. Her father's shadow no longer held her down. It lifted her up. The base honored tours with recovery. Fletcher's failures no longer part of their story. Hamilton and the saboteurs gone. Miramar no longer a temporary escape, but home. Chelsea stood overlooking the runway, planes roaring skyward, the world wide open in front of her. Brady approached with 2 coffees, handing her one like a ritual forming. "What now?" he asked. Chelsea took a slow sip, something soft blooming in her chest. "Now," she echoed, a quiet smile forming. "We live." Brady nodded, watching her proud, protective present. "And if another ghost comes?" he asked. Chelsea didn't hesitate. We'll face them. Every scar beneath her uniform told a story. Not of defeat, of survival, of a woman who endured when others tried to erase her. She glanced upward, the sky clear and endless. Sometimes, she whispered, a final message to the one who taught her how to fight. Dignity doesn't speak. A beat. It simply acts. And Chelsea Murphy walked forward, into a life she claimed with strength no one could drown.